Yo, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Plugged In DFS show, typically brought to you by JM to Win and myself. JM is a bit under the weather, so we got in our guy Darren, I almost said Dancer, which is like a blend of your first and last name, Darren Manser, who joined us on our Cashing Points show last week. He's probably our top winner over the past few years, number of first place finishes, including the preseason. He is our resident MME expert, the optimizer czar, and I'm just really excited to talk to him today. Usually we start this off asking how you did on the week. So Darren, how did you do last week?
Terrible.
Oh, no, what happened? What went wrong? What were your lessons learned? It was mixing. It came down to mixing. So
I had several teams that's actually scored well, but no, not having that 50 points of Mixon just killed him.
So we need to talk Mixon. He's definitely the elephant in the room. And so on the live stream, how I talked about Mixon was like, okay, he's definitely mispriced. He's definitely the top XFP related value of the week. He ranks second among all running backs in XFP per game, ranked like 16th in fantasy points per game. And this is who Mixon was last year. He would have this massive blow-up game. Then he'd have 5 straight games where really good volume, really poor production, and he'd be a massive XFP-related value. And then maybe it would come that week. If not, then the next week he would have this massive blow-up game, and he'd like make back all of his XFP in this one game. But this year, the ceiling just wasn't there at all. In his prior best game of the season, I think he scored like 18 fantasy points, which was a season high. This was his best game of the season. This was the cheapest he was. And I went back and forth in it. I ranked him as one of the top 5 running back plays of the week. But I said, this has been the case for a while now. He's been the top XFP value for a while now. And if you've played Mixon at any point this season, he was costing you money. And that's kind of what you and Graham, I feel like, both held on to. But we knew the massive ceiling was there. And Johnny is always saying, I always need exposure to these potential slate records, even if I don't agree with it, just because the outsized returns, the asymmetric upside.
Yeah, and what was annoying is I was on Mixon for 3 weeks straight. And it's just I'm just so confused because he had such a smash spot against the Browns and didn't do shit, just didn't do anything at all. He was terrible. And it didn't make any sense that, they're going to start being, if that was going to be the week they're going to be a running team, that should have been the week. Why'd they wait until Carolina, unless that's like a game plan where, it's like maybe some game theory on the head coaches on their end. Listen, they're going to expect us, they watch a tape. I'm sure they look at pass rates and everything else, and Bengals rated top 5 pass rate over the last few weeks. And maybe they said this, we're going to do some game theory here. We're going to, run the hell out of the ball to kind of change it up, to throw them off. And, they game plan for a passing game, but we're going to give them a running game. So I've been thinking about that. It's like, how do you, that was great game theory I think that was a great call and a great game script that the coach drew up for the week. But, it was just, it sucked that I didn't have any Mixon, but that's the only comprehensive thing I can come up with of what actually happened this week.
You know what? You're right. His best matchup of the year was Cleveland, which was a top 5 matchup. Carolina was a top 8 matchup. Atlanta was a top 12 matchup, and those were his only favorable matchups of the season. But yeah, you're right. It's like, well, the Cleveland matchup was even better than that, and he hurt me. But, clearly the upside was there. It was, one of the top 10 highest scoring fantasy points games of all time. I did well. I profited. My best lineup. So what I was saying with quarterbacks all week was, well, you can make a really compelling case for Trevor Lawrence in a great matchup, Aaron Rodgers in a great matchup. But I think what I'm just going to do is I'm going to play Josh Allen and Tua doubles, because like every week I've been saying these are the offenses, you might just, Tua doubles every single week. This offense looks incredible. And then Josh Allen, it's like Buffalo Bills fans are just like printing money. He's averaging the most fantasy points per game of any quarterback ever. And he's priced like merely the top quarterback in the slate, not like the greatest quarterback season of all time. And then on the show, and I was like, well, I also really like Justin Fields. And like Graham was just like, well, why not Justin Fields with the Miami wide receivers? And I'm like, damn, you are absolutely right. That's the way to play it. Justin Fields, after the team's mini bye, they watched a lot of Baltimore tape, said, okay, we need to get this guy more design runs. And so I went Justin Fields, 46 DK fantasy points, 3 passing touchdowns, 178 rushing yards, the most by any quarterback in any regular season game of all time. Paired him with Tyreek Hill, 30 points, Jalen Waddle, 20 points. Josh Palmer, I said, was the best value at the wide receiver position, so I put him in. This actually might have been the lineup we made on the show. Running backs, I think it was. This was the lineup we made on the show. Running backs were Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson. Okay, I'm just going to eat the chalk there. I knew Ramondre would have amazing field position all game, would get a ton of the targets and at least 60% of the carries. Honestly, I thought it'd be way more than that, but it wasn't. J.J. Taylor mixed in randomly. And then Kenneth Walker, who's just like an absolute freak. Seattle's RB1 over the last 12 games is averaging, or 15 games is averaging, like 18.9 fantasy points per game and like 25 fantasy points per game in wins. I had Noah Fant at tight end. He was just really cheap. And tight end ones versus Arizona are ranked third among all tight ends. It goes the oligos, Kelsey, Andrews, whoever the F is playing, Arizona. And then it went Jets defense. It's a little regrettable that we don't have JM on the show because this was his best week. He had 0% Mixon despite going MME heavy, but he played extremely sharp. He had a ton of fields, a ton of really sharp plays. And despite having 0 Mixon, he at least doubled on the week. And I really liked his process. We talked it out yesterday, but he has no voice at the moment, so he couldn't come on. But anyway, this lineup finished in 66th place.
How many points did it score?
218.2.
Wow, it did.
In a single entry.
Wow.
And so it finished 66th place, but it finished like 5th place out of all non-Mixon teams. So instead of it being like a week where I win $50, if Mixon got hurt on the first play of the game, it could have been, a week where I win thousands of dollars.
Right.
But I mean, like, I felt good about that process. Josh Allen or Justin Fields, and just not getting crazy with the other quarterback stacks. But it's another one of those weeks where I feel like if I were an MME guy, I could have made a ton of money because the only thing this was missing was Mixon. And like I had Mixon as a top 5 play, but like on this individual lineup, it's like, yeah, I liked the chalk running backs. I liked Walker more than Mixon.
Yeah, Mick Walker looked amazing, by the way. I think me. We talked quite a bit on the pods and things of that sort. I like to watch tape and just go back and look at some of the plays, and he looks amazing. He just looks so good. I mean, he looks like Dameon Pierce, who's one of my favorite guys to actually watch. And we got that much talent and being fed the ball that much. It was a mistake not having a little bit more. They don't really. I mean, Homer is sprinkled in here and there, but most teams have a second scat back like that anyway. So, but yeah.
So what would you have done differently? What are your lessons learned? Johnny is always talking about this. I think this would be the chief lesson. I remember Julio Jones was projected to be the chalkiest wide receiver of the slate, and Johnny and I both said, this doesn't make sense. The matchup's not good, and I think he's hurt. And Julio doesn't really play particularly well when he's hurt. His snap share is capped. This is back when he was on the Falcons. And so I think this is just bad chalk. And so I faded him completely. Johnny ended up with 20% exposure when he was 30% owned. And I'm like, why? Like, you agreed he was a bad play. And he's like, yeah, he's a bad play, but he has an inordinate amounts of slate busting potential, and you just can never full fade those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, this was also the Will Fuller week. So maybe that week Julio flopped, but the week Will Fuller was chalk, and I was like, all right, well, he hasn't done much, and he's chalk, and then he dropped 50 fantasy points. And, of course, Johnny had massive exposure, despite agreeing like it felt like that chalk. And so maybe that's the way to go if you're an MME guy, is to just slate wrecking potential. Like, if he has the potential to be like, you don't have him, you don't make any money.
Exactly.
So at least
right.
sprinkle some.
Yeah, and that's what I've already made some sheets, and I've already, kind of know what I'm doing this week. It's just like what running backs can score 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Which ones have the most potential to score 3 touchdowns? And I'm really focusing on the running backs, because running backs have just been hitting every single week.
Oh yeah,
every single week, and it doesn't matter if they're chalky or not. They've all been playing well. So I think you basically just eat the chalk, the good ones. I didn't think Mixon was a good play this week. I'll stand by that, just based on 2 touchdowns for the whole year, in and out with Perrine or whatever his name is, and yeah, right. And then obviously that really bad. I mean, there's probably some recent bias too, because he absolutely killed me in that showdown slate with the Browns, and where the Browns just ran them over too. So, but yeah, so this is one of those things that happens. Lessons learned, and then we can talk about next week, soon enough. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on the same page with you. I'm not going to full fade the slate busting guys like Jefferson, and I had a decent share of Adams, Tyreek. Obviously, I was at a ton off and stuff like that.
You were really on like such an unreal heater to close out last season. You were finishing like top 5 every single week, and finishing in first place in at least half of those weeks. And then preseason comes out, and you dominate preseason. You might have been the most profitable DFS player in preseason DFS this year, when typically Johnny's the one who holds that crown. And then this year, I've been tilting alongside of you. There was that Eagles showdown game where you were sitting in first place for 500,000 alone for 70% of that game, maybe like into 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And that's just like a small component of it. There's also like, we're in DMs and you're like, well, this was my best lineup, which didn't have player X, when I had player X on 80% of my lineups. And if I just swapped this guy with this 1v1, I would have won $1 million. Or it's like, and it seems to happen every single week. And so I, as an outsider's perspective, am just so optimistic that it is coming. And you cannot get into the mindset that, oh, I'm running bad, I'm jinxed, I'm cursed. Then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I unironically believe, like Tom Brady believes, Russell Wilson believes, that mindset is everything, that it is our single greatest edge. You can read the intro to 96 stats from 2 years ago. Apparently it helped a lot of people. But I wrote that as a reminder for me, just on the importance of mindset. But yeah, you want to talk about your sort of tilting 2022 and how close you've come, and any other lessons you've learned.
Yeah, so anybody who's played poker for profit, that's Bart Hansen, great poker coach for Crush Life Poker. I use those guys for poker for years, and I'll be playing poker again after a football season. But you go through losing streaks, and what you do is you go look at your process, and then you talk it out with other professionals and things of that sort. And what's your thoughts? And this is what I did. What's what I did here? And you learn from your mistakes. So I look at it like this, and I've learned this. It's the best thing. It's basically, as long as you made the right play, the cards fall as they be. So if you got aces, you go in, they got 7-8 suited, you're all in, and they beat you. Oh, well, that's just going to happen, right? The process was right. You made a raise in a certain spot. They re-raised. They were bluffing. You caught them. They caught a one-outer, 150 to 1 to hit you. But your process was good. So I've been looking back, looking at my process and seeing it. We'll get into this next week, which I'll share a couple things. I think Austin in the chat. We've actually been talking all year. He's
Oh,
super
me too. Big
Yeah.
fan of Austin. Yeah.
Yep. Me and him are buddies. So we talk quite a bit, and we talk about each other's processes and go over things. And we came up with some really good stuff this week.
Have you seen the sheet that we came up with? It's pretty.
I may have had I might have had a piece in him building that. So.
Oh, that's amazing! Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So that's. But yeah, he's
We'll share that in Discord eventually, probably in the next few weeks.
Yeah. So but anyway, so as long as the process is good as far as that goes, I didn't have a losing week until my first losing week was week 7. I was profitable every single week, 1 through 6. And then there's that you talk about 1 for 1, and guys who haven't seen the chat that I shared in the Discord and here, it was an afternoon slate. I didn't know whether to play Kirk or Hollywood. I had 16 lineups. 16 entries, different contests. I switched Kirk and Hollywood, 8 in one line, 8 in the other line. If I played Kirk in the one line, if I played Hollywood in the one line instead of Kirk, I would have won $125,000. So it's just like 1 for 1. I still won six grand. I'm not gonna be mad I lost money. That's 1 for 1. And then the showdown slate, I wimped out not playing the 11. I won the mini max for like $500, but if I played the 11, I would have won $47,000. And then the next showdowns after that, obviously I'm losing. But yeah, system mindset, like I said, as long as my process is good, and that's what it comes down to. And I'll tell other people that look at your process, look at what you're doing, go look back at your lineups and how the construction looks, and the pieces that are getting into those lineups with the good stacks. Who you putting in with those stacks. Just be careful if you're putting 2, maybe 3 off the wall type plays. You don't need that many, just 1 or 2 max. You don't need 3 off the wall plays. But yeah, I'm really digging into this week, and I stay confident. I love last week. I would have done great if Mixon didn't like I said, it gets hurt in the same play. I would have had a profitable week.
Yeah, it's just a reminder of how slim the margins for error or margins for luck are. So many times, like if you nailed the right 1v1, just 4 weeks, that's a swing of $800,000, something obscene like that. And I feel similarly because I just keep cashing. It's like I'll make $20. I'll make I'll lose $20 one week, make $40 the next week, but I'm like consistently finishing in the green, which is really hard to do. It's just I haven't had that first place finish, that 5th place finish that really pushes you over the edge. And that's another reason why, again, I think if I had the time to MME and the knowledge to MME like you MME, I really think we have the tools, we have the optimizer. It's just finding time in my schedule. And you lay it out how you do it on the show, so it's not that difficult. I really think I could be a jugger. Maybe this is hubris, but it's just like so often it's like I have the perfect lineup spread across these 8 lineups, but never on one lineup. And I do think my content is customized and tailored to the MME player, because no one's writing as comprehensive of a slate breakdown as I am, where I rank all these players in order and I discuss who's viable and who's not. And yeah, so I think our time is coming for sure. And so far it's been good. It's been really like, again, we're getting most of the things right every week, and that's hard to do in such a volatile and luck-driven sport like this one.
Yeah, in college football, like, listen, you guys listen to the slates. I'm not sure how many weeks are left in football, but I've made like 10 grand in college football. I mean,
yeah, we need to mention that. I mean, like, college, we're printing money. Like, if you're not,
it's sick. It's crazy.
If you want to make money playing DFS, get a college subscription and just play the guys in each article.
It's like $30 now. It's like $30.
It's so cheap. So it's night and day. And like, why it's not the same? Like, I'm convinced we have the best team, and our content is so good. even if you're listening to like other content you might think is better, like they're listening to our show, they're reading our content. I can promise you that we're damn good, but it's difficult because DFS is the most popular sport. It has the most analysis behind it, and like the analysis is really good. It's not like the days of 2020, 2019, where I used to write a contrarian article where I only hit on guys under 5%. And the ownership was from the Thursday night plays, back when you used to lock and you would have perfectly accurate information. And I had a guy just only play my contrarian plays. So everyone was under 5%. And he finished in 6th place in the Millie Maker. And like I was finding sub 5% gems every week. It's not like that anymore. It's the most popular. There's so much competition, but college football DFS is like the Wild West. Like no one knows what they're doing, and we have the best guys for college DFS. And so if you just want to make some money, do that. I just think football is so much more fun, and I like the challenge. But yeah, go ahead, Darren. What were you saying?
Yeah. So basically, yeah. So obviously, I mean, once again, another bad beat. So the week I won 6,000. I tried to get into the 333 contest, and I already had my lineup. So I went to 333 and I pressed enter, and my computer froze. I think there's 600 people get in it, and it was like a 580. I'm like, oh shit! Grab my phone real quick, went on there, press. I only had the one lineup. Press enter, it filled. I would have won second place, $20,000 instead of 6,000. so it's like once again, it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
This is like the 1-for-1 there, 20,000 there. Then it was the other 120,000, 1-for-1 there. 10-second loss here. The $500,000 for the showdown slate if AJ Brown caught that instead of Gobert, and then AJ Brown got caught with a shoelace tackle, would have been 65 yards. Anyway, so it's but yeah, there's other stats out there. There's other sites and stuff where I do get some information as far as snap counts and routes run and stuff like that. So I do do use that, but 90% of the players I use are from Josh and Wes's articles. And then the chat is just amazing. I mean, such a sharp group in the Discord chat with Keel, Case, and I mean, there's just some super sharp people in there, all sharing information, super helpful. It's just a really good chat. I've been part of so many chats through DFS years, and our Discord chats in NFL and college are just hands down the best. No negativity, super helpful. There's no cheaters.
No negative. We don't have any trolls. We don't have a single troll.
We did last year. We got rid of them. We had a couple last year, but they're
this year's been great.
Those other ones are people are just.
It's a great place to learn from people like you and Johnny, who I really consider two of the best and experts in the field. I'm still always constantly learning from Johnny. I just so much reverence for him. Yeah. And yeah, it's just like. We're all friends. We're all rooting for each other. It's fun, sweating. Like even when it doesn't run your way, Darren.
I sweated for him when he won the 20,000 just like a couple weeks ago. It's just so fun rooting for your these other people. Not like not like you suck, you got lucky. There are people rooting for you and doing the big googly eyes. Oh wow, good luck. Fire and everything else. It's just really good group. It reminds me a little bit by poker. Like when you make like final tables and stuff. You'd have your buddies on the rail watching you, rooting for you to try and win first place. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, get into Discord if at some point.
Okay, Darren. Let's look ahead to week 10. Can't believe we're already in double digits, but here we are. I have not looked at anything. I try and give myself Monday as like my one day off sort of the week, and the time I do spend, it's all looking back, like prepping for my big XFP article, which is looking at volume and production and recent looking back. So tomorrow is when I start everything looking forward. So I'm a little behind, but what are you seeing looking forward to week 10?
Only using 4 quarterbacks. Not getting cute with anybody else.
All right, who are those 4?
Allen, Fields, Mahomes, and Tua.
Allen, Fields, Mahomes, Tua. I love that.
There's nobody else I want on the side.
Here's what I'll say, though.
And they all have good stacking options.
Here's what I'll say. Josh Allen is seriously hurt. He might be out the next 4 weeks.
He's gonna be out.
There's a very good chance he's out the next 4 weeks. We need to learn more, and we'll learn more today or tomorrow. But there is a chance he's not the same Josh Allen.
All right, I'm using 3 quarterbacks.
All right. So I'm seeing Tua at 6,700, egregiously mispriced. But then I'm seeing Tyreek Hill, 9,100, finally appropriately priced and more expensive than Cooper Kupp. So how are you going to approach that? Waddle, 7,600 looks mispriced. Is it just more Waddle than Tyreek, even though Tyreek's clearly the alpha and probably the most valuable wide receiver in fantasy?
I'll see what the ownership looks like this week. That's basically what it comes down to. Yeah,
you're right.
Are people going to be like, "Oh, I'm not paying 91"? You know, if people are saying I'm not going to pay 91 for Tyreek when I can play whoever, you know, for 800 left, and depending on lineup construction and things of that sort. So,
I was thinking earlier this week. I didn't go this route. Maybe on one lineup I did, but I saw Tyreek chalk, Diggs chalky. I saw Waddle under 6%. And Gabe Davis under 3% projected. And it's like, there's definitely an edge here to just play the wide receiver 2 and hope they have the blow up game. Maybe the wide receiver 1 gets shadowed or gets dinged up, or, it's just not their week. And so maybe that's a path to explore, because, I say Tua doubles every week, but Tyreek is finally appropriately priced, but Waddle's not.
Yeah, well, the thing with that game is there's good comebacks, and Miami's defense isn't good. So
that's right.
So I'm looking at comebacks, and somebody who's been he hasn't had a bust out game, and I hate using the word he's due, but he's been, because I've watched a lot of stuff. I've been using him much as a cheap. He's been super cheap. Is Peoples-Jones. He's always cheap. I don't know. He's just a guy that I've played every week. He's met value pretty much every week. He gets targets. So Njoku's back this week, it looks like, too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Well, that's big.
It's big, right? I think that will take a little bit of pressure off him. And then I think Peoples-Jones will get probably like the lightest matchup this week too.
Well, he's immediately who stood out to me, because I've talked about this for years, how Amari Cooper is the biggest disappearing act in football. Very cornerback sensitive, but like his splits home and road are so insane. Like maybe he just can't fall asleep without his custom mattress or something. But this year and most years, he is the wide receiver 2 on the road, the wide receiver 1 at home. And DPJ has really stepped up on the road as the team's wide receiver 1. So I like that take. The other quarterback he brought up was Justin Fields, just egregiously mispriced. Even if he didn't have the week he had last week, just egregiously mispriced. He's finished 5th, 1st in fantasy points scored. He's running. He was my Exodia quarterback of the offseason, and he's finally living up to that. And then Patrick Mahomes, I mean, the guy throws 65 passes last week. 68. There you go. What more do you need to say right there? And I like Mahomes, honestly, because especially for an MME player like you, because he's difficult to stack with. But those stacks are cheap. So if you do nail it, there's asymmetric upside. Right. And you just let the optimizer go to work. I actually knew it was a Hardman week this past week. He was popping in all my stuff. I went with Demir Bird as my Galaxy brain play who scored a 0, but Hardman would have been the guy if that was this game was on the slate.
Yeah, he looked good too.
It was just like the perfect matchup for where he's aligned and the sort of targets he's seeing. But I don't know who it is this week. So Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Tua, Field. I love that. I absolutely love that. Let's look at some of the other positions. Tight end, it's a Kelsey week, 7,800, which is cheap to me because he's a top 5 wide receiver at the grossest position in fantasy.
Yeah, I like Hawkinson this week. I mean,
I think that's a great call.
He got thrown to the Wolves immediately, and he looked great. I think what is he, 50? I don't have prices in front of me.
I think he's the wide receiver 2 right off the bat. I think Thielen is dusty, and now Hawkinson is the guy who's the wide receiver 2.
I agree. I agree with that take.
He's expensive though, or he's at least priced as the tight end too,
You're right.
above Zach Ertz.
Yeah, tight ends have just been weird. It's just like I really liked Higbee last week, but somebody made a good point in the chat. Looks, with Van back, it's almost like he was in for blocking. He had one target, and Dolphins were like bottom 5 against tight ends.
I missed that. I liked Higbee this week, so
yeah, so did I.
I missed that.
Yeah. So
I did get a. I was gonna say I did get a lot of my fades right this week. I thought, like Chris Godwin and some other players who were over-owned.
I like
who
Evans.
was the chalk tight end?
Who was?
Tunyon.
Tunyon, yeah, he sucked. Yeah, it's hard to these guys.
Let's look at the running back position. I have been licking my chops for Christian McCaffrey on the main slate, and it's not a Christian McCaffrey week. But you got Barkley, you got Henry, you got Chubb, you got Dalvin, Josh Jacobs.
Kamara
Kamara's cheap.
He's playing Houston.
Oh my God! Game over.
Yep.
No, he's playing Pittsburgh.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Who plays Houston? I don't have it in front of me.
I don't know, but that's key. Oh, it's Barkley.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, it's Barkley. Sorry. Yeah, you said Barkley first. My bad. Yeah, Barkley.
All right. Well, Saquon Barkley week. You got Etienne at 7,100. I don't know why he's not priced identical to Nick Chubb.
I agree.
Same usage, same production, same insane efficiency. Dalvin Cook, I think, is going to be one of those guys who no one plays, and I'm not going to have a lot of exposure to, but is a good play relative to ownership. He's been the bell cow for a number of weeks now, and no one's noticed.
Has he been catching more passes? Has he been targeted a little bit more?
Percentage of the backfield XFP, he's elite. He might be number one over the last few weeks. Madison had that one touchdown.
Right.
He's had 6 targets in back-to-back games. So
so I like him.
With 17 or more carries.
So I like him this week quite a bit.
Bad matchup last week. Buffalo, I'll have to dig into the numbers.
Okay. Is there any? I mean, it's still early, but I mean, we're about to be dealing with another hurricane-ish something coming over us tomorrow. It's like a tropical storm type thing. It's going to be a mess. Or it's going to be a mess on the beach.
We need to buy you a generator. We can't afford to lose you.
Like that last storm was brutal. But yeah, so I'm wondering. So whether we're gonna not that weather affects everything, but if we start getting some snow and these super high winds, things of that sort.
You get snow in Florida?
Back in '95 we did.
All right.
We played football behind the Publix in our wetsuits. It was -2 degrees and it snowed at Daytona Beach. Anyway.
Anyone else standing out to you at the running back position? I mean, it's so early.
Pierce, always Pierce.
Oh, of course. 6,300, price below Pollard, Swift,
Yeah,
AJ
Pierce,
Dillon. Oh my God, AJ Dillon.
Well, is Jones definitely out?
Oh,
is Jones
damn,
out?
I don't know. That's a great point.
Yeah, I don't think he. I saw he was supposed to play. Oh, Pollard, Tony Pollard.
Well, Zeke's going to be back this week.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was hearing. But
I didn't know that was for sure. If he's not, he'll probably be one.
Jerry Jones, we anticipate having Zeke back against Pat.
Anticipate. That's not okay.
Wide receiver position: Tyreek, Kupp, Jefferson, Adams, Diggs, Hopkins, all in that 8K range. St. Brown, I think he's going to be chalk again, 6,900.
I don't care. He's due. I mean, I hate saying the word he's due. I already said it earlier, but he's got a really good matchup. I think Pickens is super interesting for Pittsburgh with no Claypool.
I might have ended up with 0 Amon-Ra last week. I mean, the targets have been there, 10 targets, 9 targets. My issue was that he's been pushed more outside due to the injuries to DJ Chark and Josh Reynolds, and really like the Ben Johnson slot role is what you want to target. But more than anything, I mean, Detroit's offense just imploded last week, so it might not be back. But Yeah, he's going to be chalk again this week, and I'll probably have quite a bit of exposure.
Okay.
It's not a great matchup, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the other people. Like I said, I mentioned Pickens, if you heard me. For
Oh,
Pittsburgh.
I didn't.
Yeah, Pickens with no Claypool. And,
That's a
I
great
think he's
call.
going to have a full-time role now.
He finally got priced up, though. He's in the 5K range.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, Evans and Godwin, Pickens, Deontay just drive me so crazy because they're so good and their volume has been so good from an XFP perspective, but the production's just not there. And you could say it's like the Joe Mixon thing, where it's like, well, he's literally due and it's coming. And so why not just have exposure every week until that happens? Maybe don't go all in, but we know it's coming.
And then one last one, I'll just say Lazard. He's going to just
no
dubs against Dallas. So I think that's the afternoon game too.
Because we talked about that, and his production and volume is significantly better than anyone gives him credit for. I think he's like wide receiver 15 right now by fantasy points per game, despite being limited in week 2, despite leaving early in week 7. And he is just scoring the touchdowns. He's clearly the wide receiver 1. He's clearly the guy Rodgers trusts. He did have a great matchup this week, and this week's a little tougher.
True. Yeah.
I'm with you on Lazard.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else you want to bring up? I really am far behind, so it's all blurred to me. But I liked your take so far.
No, I'm just looking at my player pool type thing right now, and no, that's I'm gonna have a pretty tight core this week, and just be careful and I'm gonna be super on top of how my stacks, what those stacks are allowing in those stacks. So, like if I got a Josh Allen stack, what other players am I going to allow in that stack? Because I like the Bears game, the Jaguars, Chiefs game, the Browns and Dolphins game. I want to include most of my players and mix and match with them with my 4 quarterbacks. Does that make sense? So they're the 4 best stacking games. So if I'm here and I'm sitting here telling you these are my 4 favorite stacking games, why don't I try and mini stack and swap all of these 4 games with these 4, good quarterbacks for fantasy quarterbacks, and give my my lineups that extra boost with these matchups I'm targeting for a reason. So I'm not ending up with, not that these other guys aren't bad plays, but I don't want to end up with like an Allen stack with, let's say, Firemouth, Jerry Jeudy, Gallup, and Connor. I'm just throwing an example, right? Does that make sense? You see how I'm getting it? So
yeah, I'd like to walk through this with you with an example. Okay. Let's talk about Justin Fields. How are you building your Justin Fields lineups? To me, it's okay. Maybe you could stack him. You could also go naked. You could also play him stacked with Detroit players, which is what I did last week, which made me a good amount of money. Detroit has really struggled to show up on the road, but I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, we just talked about. Jamal Williams is like, 5,300? He has 4 games with multiple touchdowns. He had 24 carries last week. DeAndre Swift clearly isn't right. Hawkinson is gone. A more condensed target share. You could consider a Khalif Raymond, a Josh Reynolds, a whatever. So how would you build your Justin Fields teams?
Well, I've got it right now. I've already built it. So basically how I'm doing so I'm giving away all kinds of goods. If it's goods, it might not be the goods. It might be the trash. But anyway, I'm hoping it's the goods this week. So basically I got Justin Fields with at least one of a Bear or a Lion. Not 2, at least 1. If I end up with 2, that's fine. Then what I've done is at least 4 from the Vikings-Bills game, Jaguars-Chiefs, Browns and Dolphins. Then I'll have 2 extra spaces for.
So any 4 from those games?
Yep, any 4 from those games. So
are you intentionally correlating? So it's like,
yep,
Justin Jefferson and the opposing team's wide receiver 1.
Oh, that's interesting. I have not done that. I like that.
I would definitely try and build in some mini stacks.
I like that. So I'm going to put that right here. Mini stack inside. So, well, that would have to be in. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about that one more. But you see what I'm getting at. So basically, like I was saying before, I like those games so much. Then I'm only going to get those I basically named them on my sheet here. Best one-offs from the other games. Like Kamara is a great one-off. Olaf is a good one-off. Pickens, Pollard if there's no Zeke.
You
Lazard.
keep saying Olaf.
Olaf.
Olave, right.
Olave, sorry. Hopkins, there's other, I don't mind one or two, but I'll have to look into more as far as the mini stacks and how I can make that actually work. I'm trying to think how I would do that. So I'll have to think about that after the show, but that's I like that actually. If I can make it work, because I make so many rules and different things of that sort already. I'm trying to think if I could, but I like that a lot. But does that make sense?
No, it does. We need to hang out on Saturday, and you need to let me just
watch you.
I know. I need to watch you build these lineups and learn more from you. I think we're a really good team. Whereas, like, I can hammer the X's and O's, rank the best plays, rank the upside relative to ownership. But you are so good at this meta-analysis of the game within the game and understanding how to pair these lineups, who to exclude on the right lineups, who, if paired with this player, produces upside and lesser competition because it's so unique, things like that.
Yeah, it's just a learning process. You learn. It's just like anything that you're into, that you love and you dedicate your life to, and just full board, just thinking about it 24 hours a day. You come up with these different things, and my mind kind of works like that. So actually, Austin always says, "I need your brain," and then and I'll come up with something, and then we talked about this little stacking thing this week, and I shared it with him, and everything. He's, "Oh, that's so cool! That's so cool!" Because he's so good with his data, like you. And then kind of mixing everything in with it. But yeah, I'm actually really excited. It's not. I'm super excited this week. I want to see how this goes. I'm going to look at the mini second, like you said, but I've really narrowed my player pool this week. I'm being careful of the one-off type plays.
Is there anything else you've noticed from Discord? Maybe certain things you see a lot of people continually struggling with. I know Johnny's always in there. It's like, bro, you can't stack a running back with a tight end because they're so touchdown dependent and different things like that. Is there anything else you've noticed that you wanted to hit on in this space while we have time?
I don't, because I'd say 95% of our Discord chat's sharp. There's a few questions here and there, just like analysis stuff. But a lot of people, especially on Sunday, are playing cash games. A lot of questions. Pretty busy in here, cash games, and I think the cash games talk is just great. And those people playing this cash games should be playing single entries also with their lineup, because I see the lineups that they put out, and they're great lineups. That'd be great lineups for single entry type contests. So you guys who are doing those cash lineups, throw it in a GP, throw it in a single entry GPP, $10, $5, $3, $12, whatever, lower entry, and try and get a little bit more money on your return on those, because the lineups are good. You guys are cashing every week. I'm just not sure how many of them are, doing it single entry or 3 max as far as that goes. So I would advise them to do that, because, with the Cash and Point show and the matchup show, and then Johnny's video in the morning, and then all the questions that we answer throughout the week, and my Opto video and this video, there's, we have so much information and such good information, and good data. You can build really profitable lineups.
Yeah, something JM's really good at too is just like a reminder that, it's difficult. You really live and die on those top 0.01 percentile outcomes, and we have a small sample size to work with. We only have 17 games of the regular season. That's such a small sample to even gauge if you're playing optimally or playing correctly. Or the best DFS players are these guys who tend to lose 6 weeks in a row, and then they'll win huge the 7th week. Now they're massively ahead for the next 3 years, something like that.
My turn.
Which is, yeah, hell yeah.
I got 3 more losing weeks to go, though. I guess you said real quick. You said in July, you said I was winning the milli week 15.
Oh hell yeah, it's coming.
That's what you said.
You got to go heavy week 15, fulfill the prophecy.
You said week 15 was the milli was my milli week. So
that's your milli week.
I'm patiently waiting for weeks.
Well, that's the other thing is we get better as the season goes on, and I really feel that, and I'm really seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I still see an edge for us, even though NFL is more difficult than college, for instance. I still see a sizable edge.
Joe Dolan's new piece that he's putting out. He just put it out last week. It's so good.
Oh hell yeah!
What's it called?
The matchup manifesto, I think.
Oh, dude, it's so good. I said the thing in our workers thing, man. It's such a good article. I really enjoyed that one.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up a little early. JM was under the weather. Hilo was under the weather. I'm a little under the weather. But this was great. Darren, thank you so much for coming on. Really excited to talk to you again. I don't know if you're going to be on the Cashing Point show this week or next week, but it was great catching up, and thank you for imparting some wisdom. Hopefully we'll all learn, and I have no doubt your week is coming up. You're going to get another hit before week 15, and then you're going to win the million week 15.
All right, let's hope so. But thanks for having me on, and I do appreciate it. And thanks everybody.